Hi there, Chris from TotallyEV, and here I'm inside the BMW i7, thanks to the good guys at Bowers Wilkins. Now this system is the top spec diamond surround sound system, which comprises of 35 audio drivers, at least within the fully electric i7, whereby it moves up to 36 audio drivers within the non-electrified model, and you have got a whopping 1,956 watts of power output. Now, in order for me to give you an indication of the driver configuration, the front of the cabin, you have got three 25mm diamond dome tweeters at the front doors and within the dashboard. Similarly, in terms of the front doors and the dashboard, you've also got three 100mm mid-range drivers, and then you've also got two 50x80mm dual balance woofers within the front doors. Then within the backrests, you have got four 4D shakers and then four 60mm headrest speakers. Now that's a lot within the front of the cabin, but it just gets even better because at the rear of the cabin you've got a similar impressive array whereby you have got two 100mm mid-range drivers found within the doors. You've also got the same two 50x80mm dual balance woofers, and you've also got the two 25mm aluminium tweeters. You've similarly also got the four 4D shakers within the backrest and also the four 60mm headrest speakers. Then to round it off, at the top you have got four 40mm headliner 3D speakers, and within the boot you've got a dual voice subwoofer. Now it's worth pointing out over here that in the fully electric model you have got the dual voice coil speaker found at the boot, but within the internal combustion variant you have got woofers that are found within the front seat. Therefore you've got differentiation between 35 and 36 speakers. Now for you to tinker around with the audio drivers, you want to navigate to the appropriate section on the infotainment system. And here you've got a plethora of options, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Now first off, you've got the sound mode profiles. Now in my case, I actually preferred using it in terms of its concert mode and adjusting the different sliders to my heart's content. However, if you want a bit more of a reference sound and do not want the 3D headliner speakers to be enabled, then you'll want to go on the studio mode preset. This is actually what the audio manufacturer Bowers Wilkins prefers you to use. Now, of course, this is all very much for you to tinker around with, but in terms of my own settings, I had the concert mode preset, and then going on terms of the immersive sound, I took out one notch in terms of the 3D intensity. As for the 4D bass experience, that is to do with the shakers that are found within all four seats, and note, yes, the rear middle seat does not have the bass shaker, which is unsurprising, but over here you can adjust the intensity. I took off one notch from the default 3-notch EQ, and for me to get the sort of best sort of experience. Now, as for the treble, bass, balance, and fader, I've left them untouched, and that is because you've also got an equalizer preset giving you a multi-band EQ. Yet again, the customization is certainly appreciated for those people who want to tinker around with it. For those people who are not familiar with it, then you've just got the simple bass and treble that you might want to adjust. Now, as a result over here, I've added a few notches in terms of the treble EQ and taken a few notches off the bass EQ. Yet again, this is all going to be dependent in terms of the music that you listen to, so if you do own the i7 or have sat in it, make sure you share your own EQ profile down in the comment section below. So with all of that out of the way, let's get on to a brief sound demo. I'll be placing the camera and microphone in 4 separate locations and playing back a track. This will not give you a lifelike reproduction of the audio system, but rather a little bit of a taster. Now, I appreciate an audio demo over YouTube is never ideal, so let me get onto my subjective opinion. Now, first off, in terms of the sub-bass response, it's seriously impressive. Yes, you have got the woofer found within each of the 4 doors, and then you've got the subwoofer found within the boot, but there's also the 4D shakers, which give you a little bit of that immersion sort of feel. Of course, this depends as to how much you want to feel that sort of bass, but it is certainly appreciated, and I've got no sort of quarrels or complaints in terms of the sub-bass tones. Now, furthermore, in terms of the mid-bass tones, they're absolutely exquisite, not only in terms of the quantity, but also in terms of the quality. Indeed, here, Bowers Wilkins have really tuned the woofers found within each of the 4 doors, and indeed the rest of the audio drivers that are comprised within the cabin of the i7, and therefore provides an absolutely incredible experience, one that will certainly leave a lot of people with a smile on their face. Now, while that is all very impressive and a lot of audio systems out there in the market do a good job of providing a good low-end response, they often falter when it comes to the mid-range response. But thankfully, that's not the case within the i7, at least not with the Diamond surround sound system found by Bowers Wilkins. Indeed, over here, the mid-range comes with absolute clarity and is not pushed back. Of course, you can EQ it to your heart's content through the infotainment system, but on the whole over here, I've just felt that even the default EQ was absolutely excellent. Here, the vocal tones will come out very well, both in terms of the lower mids and in terms of the upper mids, depending on what sort of vocal range that you're listening to. And this gives you a good sort of reproduction and feeling towards the music that you're consuming. Frankly, here, I don't think there is any sort of competition in the EV or non-EV space. The overall mid-range reproduction is absolutely sublime. Now, as for the highs, they extend extremely well both at the front and rear of the cabin, and that's thanks to the inclusion of the dedicated tweeters that are found within each of the 4 doors and within the center speaker. Therefore, not feeling too harsh or sibilant at the top end, thus not giving you any sort of ear fatigue, but still giving you that exciting sound profile. Now, on that note, this does actually lead us on to the overall soundstage reproduction. And here it's absolutely jaw-dropping, no matter which sound profile that you choose. Bearing in mind what I did mention before, that if you go on the studio mode preset, it will disable the headliner speakers. If, however, you go on the concert or let's say the on-stage one, then it will enable the headliner speakers, therefore giving you a potential extra bit of immersion. This is not what Bowers Wilkins ultimately wants you to experience, because they want a bit more of a reference sound. But in my case, I feel that most consumers will actually prefer a bit more of that cabin filling sound. Now, as a result of this, I can safely say that it's the best soundstage that I've ever heard in any sort of electric vehicle, and that's coming from someone who's reviewed a lot of its competitors and very much all of the flagship systems that are out there. Now, I will say here that the instrument separation, the tonality, the imaging, the overall width and depth are done to absolute perfection. Of course, you got that 3D sound profile that you can adjust to your heart's content, or of course fully disable it if you want a bit more of a reference sound. But no matter what you choose or the settings that you are actually going to opt for, I think you'll find that it's going to be an absolutely engaging and very much enriching experience. Now, this all really leads me on to my verdict, and it's safe to say that the BMW i7's Bowers Wilkins Diamond surround sound system is absolutely phenomenal and by far the best audio system that I've reviewed to date. As a result, it easily gets our Audio Excellence Awards. Now, we'll be curious to know what you make of the audio system down in the comment section below, be it if you've heard it or not, or of course if you are very much eager to try it for yourselves. And of course, if you like this detailed independent review, definitely do consider dropping a like, subscribing and hitting that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated. As such, I've been Chris from TotallyEV, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.